A temperature of 52 degrees here at Orchard Park, threatening skies, a little light rain, but we're set for some football. Let's go down to the third member of our crew standing by on the sideline, Carissa Thompson. Hello, Carissa.
Hello, guys. Yeah, football weather, we love this. But meanwhile, the depth chart for Detroit continues to change. As you mentioned, Matthew Stafford re-injuring that throwing shoulder last week, so Shaun Hill will get the start. He broke his non-throwing arm, you guys, 3 weeks ago against the Giants, and up until Friday was wearing a full cast, which really limited the mobility in his left hand. He now has a casing over that left hand and is wearing a glove that'll help with the grip of the football. Talking to him in pregame warm-up, he said he's good to go, but really watch for that left hand, as there's not a lot of movement since it's been in a cast, which really poses the question, guys. There's a lot of varying factors. What's the biggest one for Shaun Hill in this injury, you think?
Well, Carissa, I think, I think the biggest factor is ball security. That ball is gold down there, and Shaun Hill, as you mentioned, is just getting use of that left hand with the broken forearm. He was off for 4 weeks. He's going to have to be able to brace his fall. It's going to be an issue. He says he's ready to go, though.
All right, and we're ready to go. That's Stefan Logan, the NFC Special Teams Player of the Month. The Bills won the toss but decided to defer and kick it away to the Lions. This is Logan. And Logan, the Special Teams Player of the Month in October, pounds it out to the 25. George Wilson on the tackle. And a first look at the man we just talked about, Shaun Hill. His sixth start this season, he is 1-4. He's been out the last two with that arm. Javid Best, a guy who was a rookie, very impressive. Maybe he's hit that rookie wall, John, but he's got a lot of explosion on the outside. The offensive line, led by Raiola up front, the veteran at center. And Best tripped up in the backfield, and a great play by a guy who may be having a Pro Bowl year. Nose tackle Kyle Williams for the Bills, a loss of 2.
And we expected the Lions to come out trying to run the football. Javid Best has been hurt all year with turf toes on both feet. Tough for a running back, tough for anyone. But they felt it was necessary to get that run game going, and the Bills do a great job early on getting in their backfield.
2nd down and 12. Draw. Best will churn out to the 30-yard line. Dwan Edwards on the tackle. The Bills are sporting a new 3-4 defense, 3 down linemen. You just saw Kyle Williams there at the nose tackle.
And it's a work in progress, to be sure. They switched to the 3-4 from a Tampa 2-4-3. Different personnel, different body types. We'll talk about that during the course of the game, but they've gone through their struggles. It's a work in progress. They're getting better, though.
Jairus Byrd, 9 interceptions last year, yet to get 1 this year. 3rd and 5. No pressure, complete, an easy first down, then some. That's to Nate Burleson. And John, Nate Burleson has really been on fire of late. 7 catches for 113 yards last week, and that lost to the Jets, a pickup of 11 there.
And he's a guy they love, exactly where he just was in that slot. Calvin Johnson's going to draw a lot of attention outside. That opens up the middle of the field, and Nate Burleson has been taking advantage of that.
Movement early on the left side.
False start, 84, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Walt Coleman, our referee today, and that's Brandon
Number 89, 89.
Excuse me, Will Heller, as Walt Coleman makes the change. Will Heller moved.
And that's been a problem all year, the penalties. This is the 2nd most penalized team in the National Football League. Jim Schwartz told us a couple weeks ago, too many before the snap and after the whistle. It's something they need to address.
Sets him back 1st and 15. Shotgun, Best again. Chris Kelsey is there, along with Puslesny. And John Kelsey is a guy who really is a defensive end by trade, but because of the 4-3, he's had to stand up and become a linebacker.
Yeah, and he's looked uncomfortable in doing so. He looks much better when he has his hand in his ground. That's what he's comfortable with. But much like their defense, he's been improving of late at that outside linebacker position.
A pickup of 1, 2nd and 14. Best again, Best with a lane, and then the lane closes up quickly. Puslesny, 4-year man out of Penn State, holds the gain to 4 yards.
Well, Ron, you know when Scott Linehan and Jim Schwartz tell you we're going to try to establish the run, you kind of don't believe them because they throw the ball the second most in the NFL, 65% of the time. But they are clearly trying to come out here and establish the run today. And Javid Best is the guy they're trying to do it with.
3rd and 10. That's Calvin Johnson in the slot. Coming across the middle. No place to go. The comeback, I think he's out of bounds. Yes, he is. You can see the officials say, nope. Nate Burleson couldn't keep the feet in. And that'll bring up 4th down, the pressure on the play by Kyle Williams.
Really good job by the Buffalo Bills defense early on, standing up against that run and then getting off the field on 3rd down. Flushing Hill out of the pocket. Look at Nate Burleson's feet. Out of bounds.
And this is Nick Harris. Harris standing at the 21-yard line. Will punt it away to C.J. Spiller. That's the 9th overall pick. He'll take it inside the 10. Spiller almost got out of that. Boy, he is exciting to watch. Out to about the 20-yard line. Coming up, Ryan Fitzpatrick for the Buffalo Bills.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Ron Pitts, John Lynch, Carissa Thompson back here in Buffalo. Ryan Fitzpatrick, the 27-year-old from Gilbert, Arizona, will get his start today. He's thrown 6 touchdown passes here at home and only 2 interceptions. Ryan showing 5 defensive backs right off the top. And they'll throw. Looking down the middle of the field and look to be triple covered, intended for Steve Johnson. Talked about Ryan Fitzpatrick. He has taken over for Trent Edwards, who's been shipped out of here. Fred Jackson, he's been the running back, the starter, but everyone, John, is talking about where is C.J. Spiller.
Well, we'll see him in the return game. I'd like to see him on offense. And Chan Gailey, kind of an old school guy. He's not sure about him in protection, but I think you got to put the young man in there. He's the number 9 pick in the draft. He's explosive. He looks like he could break it every time he gets the ball in his hands.
2nd and 10. This is Jackson trying the right side, tripped up just beyond the line of scrimmage. Amari Spivey getting his start today for C.C. Brown and a pickup of 2. The defense, yeah, you know that guy we've got highlighted, and Ndamukong Suh. Boy, he's having a Rookie of the Year type of year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went to the Pro Bowl, flanked by Vanden Bosch and Turk McBride getting the start in place of the injured Cliff Averill.
They really feel like getting middle linebacker DeAndre Levy back at the middle linebacker position has solidified this defense. They're excited about the way they're playing on defense.
3rd and 8. Hurried throw, but it's caught. Donald Jones, the rookie free agent out of Youngstown State, will move the chains for the Buffalo Bills. Fitzpatrick took a hit, John, but got it out, pickup of 20.
Well, you'll see this guy, the one thing that impresses you on film, his willingness to hang in there under duress. He does this all the time. He's a tough quarterback, and he's an excellent 3rd down passer. 4th in the NFL in passer rating on 3rd down. They've been excellent as a team this year on 3rd down of late.
C.J. Spiller checks in at running back for the Bills. As you look at Fitzpatrick's numbers last week. Spiller gets out of it, still on his feet, and look at the block by Fitzpatrick, and another 1st down by the Bills. A pickup of 16 as Spiller reversed field, but Fitzpatrick leveled Louis Delmas.
Well, I don't want to tell you I told you so, but I told you so. I watch film, and the eye in the sky don't lie. This guy is an explosive player. This guy, every time he touches the ball, you get the impression he could go the distance. Yes, he has some things to learn. I believe you learn them on the field.
Well, John, maybe that's a big step in learning it on the field, and it helps to get some help from your quarterback. The vicious block there by Fitzpatrick. 1st and 10, bootleg, sets it up, going deep, looking for Evans, just overthrown. And John, we saw in practice the very first play of the team period, 11-on-11, they took a shot about 60 yards down the field to Evans.
You typically don't see that on a Friday. That's what you call a hamstring popper. But he put it out there. Lee Evans can go get it, and they told us they were going to take some shots today. They like that matchup, and we'll see more of that later on today.
Bills coming in after another disappointing loss, this time to the Chicago Bears up in Toronto. We mentioned in the open they've lost each of the last 3 games by just 3 points. But as my partner mentioned, a loss is a loss. 2nd and 10, the little shovel pass. And remember, that's an incomplete pass intended for Donald Jones. That'll bring up a 3rd and 10.
And 3rd down, as we mentioned earlier, is something this team has really improved on. Look at that. 30th in the NFL, near the bottom, weeks 1 through 5. They had their bye week. They addressed it. They emphasized it. Now they're going at a 57% clip the last 3 weeks, 1st in the NFL. And that's against the Ravens, the Bears. Very good defenses. They're playing at a high level on 3rd down.
Pressure and a sack. Around the corner, Lawrence Jackson, who's joining Turk McBride in there as they fill in for the injured Cliff Averill. And that will bring up 4th down for the Bills.
You'll see Lawrence Jackson traded from Seattle earlier this year going against Mansfield Rado. He's in his first start for the Bills, 6th of his career. Right tackle has been a problem position for the Bills offensive line this year. They need to get him some help out there.
2nd sack of the year for Jackson. This will be Mormon punting deep to Stephon Logan. Mormon will try to kill this one inside the 10 if he can. Angles to the right. And that one's going to die better than that inside the 5-yard line. He now has 8 killed inside the 20.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Back here in Buffalo, 4 touches on that first drive. Opening possession there for Javid Best of the Detroit Lions. Clearly they're making an attempt, John, to get him some early touches. Lions backed up. Best again. Picking his way, going sideways, and really lucky to get something out of it. Gets out to about the 10-yard line. Antonio Coleman on the tackle, but a marker goes down.
Holding, number 67, offense, 10-yard, half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
For this Buccaneer update, the first update of the day, let's go to Los Angeles and Kurt Menefee.
Carolina fumbled on the opening drive. Buck turned it into points. Josh Freeman to a really spin, 8-yard score. Less than 5 minutes into it, Buck's already up by a touchdown, 7-0. Ron and John.
And you look at the Buccaneers, they are trying to keep pace with the Saints, who are in 2nd place in the NFC South. Atlanta leading. 1st and 12 there after the penalty. That's Jerome Felton, the big fullback. Will get it out past the 5-yard line.
We've been talking about it, but they clearly are. This is a different posture for this offense of the Detroit Lions. They're running the football more than they're passing it, and that's different for these guys. As I mentioned earlier, they pass it 65% of the time. I think a large part of that, they're trying to protect their backup quarterback, Sean Hill, as he's just coming off the broken left forearm.
2nd down as Smith checks in at the back spot.
False start, 66, offense, 5-yard penalty. Half the distance to the goal, 2nd down.
That's Stephen Peterman, the right guard. 3 penalties already, and I think Walt Coleman is going to get tired of saying half the distance to the goal line.
That's been an issue for Peterman all year. Came in with 5 false starts, 2nd most in the NFL, and it's plagued this entire team.
Kevin Smith at the tailback spot. Smith with the carry. He's got some room, but about all he does is give the Lions breathing room. He'll get it out to about the 9. And John, the penalties have been an issue for the Detroit Lions. You can look at their average per game this season.
Well, and you look at a team that we mentioned in the open, they're close. They're close to winning football games. Well, what's the difference? Sometimes it's discipline, and you saw at the end of last week's game versus the Jets, a key 15-yard penalty on that last drive. It kills you. Again, they have to address it to start winning these close games.
3rd and 5. Pressure, they brought the blitz off the outside, and it's knocked in the air, incomplete. Dante Whitner, the safety, came around the corner.
You see Dante Whitner right here come off the edge, going to get off his feet and deflect the football. They tell you not to leave your feet because the quarterback may, but hey, if you are, you better tip it. Good job by Dante Whitner.
So the Lions with Harris will punt it away. Spiller back deep. Low line driver. These are return balls. A marker is down. Spiller can't quite break the crease. Gets back up to midfield. But let's check the marker down at the 2-yard line. The referees are
Illegal motion, 28, kicking team. That 5-yard penalty will be assessed at the end of the play. First down, Buffalo.
That's Maurice Morris. They'll assess it here on the other end. 0-0 early here in the first.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Mazda, Zoom Zoom, by Kay Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with K. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The Bills set up perfectly for Ryan Fitzpatrick, who won the starting job week 3 over Trent Edwards. And what head coach Chan Gailey said this offseason would be a very open competition in training camp. He wasn't lying. He ended up giving Fitzpatrick the starting nod week 3 after the New England game. Already today we've seen some toughness from Fitzpatrick. There's some movement by the Lions. Let's see if they were drawn off. Looked like Ndamukong Suh went.
Neutral zone infraction, 90, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
It was Suh.
And as we mentioned, we keep talking about it, but it's because it's something that has plagued this team, and it is again here today. 5 for 20, most of them, like Jim Schwartz said, before the snap, after the whistle. Today, before the snap. You can't have that if you're trying to win football games.
That'll make it a 1st and 5. Jackson with a hole, and Jackson with a Bills first down.
Ronnie, you talked about Ryan Fitzpatrick being a tough guy. We've gone 8 plays now. About 5 of them he's been involved in contact, sometimes self-inflicted. He's going out there blocking for his young running back, C.J. Spiller. But you watch the film, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a tough hombre. He's got issues at his offensive line. Chan Gailey said, we've got a deficiency at the offensive line right now. But this guy, you want to know by the way he plays. He stands in there under duress, to be sure.
First and 10, the swing pass to the left. A nice move by Jackson. And Jackson is across the 30-yard line, close to the 25. A pickup of 6.
One thing Ryan Fitzpatrick and Chan Gailey both mentioned to us when we visited with them on Friday was we got to get our running backs more involved, not only through the run, but through the pass. Fred Jackson has always been a great receiver at the running back position. They haven't used him primarily because they've had to stay in to help that offensive line in protection.
Second down and 4. Jones sets up in the backfield. They'll go to Jackson again, and Jackson will have another Bills first down. Let's go to Los Angeles. An update. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, Dolphins' new quarterback, Chad Pennington, injured on the first play of the game. Chad Henne now in, hands it off to Ronnie Brown for the touchdown. Miami leads Tennessee 7-0 with Henne now replacing Pennington because of injury. And Ron, from one college graduate back to another one there in Fred Jackson.
That's right, Kurt Menefee, you are a Cole College grad. As was a very famous person here in Buffalo, former head coach Marv Levy, and another penalty. Looks to be the Lions again. That's Corey Williams. Let's see if he was drawn off. I don't think so.
No, and that's, this is getting ridiculous for the Detroit Lions. It's not that hard. The ball's right in front of you. Watch the ball.
Encroachment, 99. Defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
This is what it sounds like. I'd have jumped too.
If you're Ryan Fitzpatrick, smart guy, went to Harvard, right? What are you going to do? A team struggles with penalties, you work that hard count. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's smart. You just got yourself a free 5 yards. Yards are hard to come by. And for the Detroit Lions coming off a tough loss against the Jets, this is not the way they wanted to start the game.
Former econ major, economics major at Harvard. Fitzpatrick pulling the Lions off, 1st and 5, going to the end zone. Boy, John, I knew that was overthrown when it left his hand, and that there's been a criticism of Fitzpatrick. He's got the strong arm, but every now and then he'll send one off into the wild blue yonder.
Yeah, as Chan Gailey said so aptly in his southern drawl, every now and then the ball goes where it's not supposed to. It is different because he's a highly accurate guy most of the time. Occasionally he'll just have a wayward ball.
Buffalo is very solid inside the red zone. You can see their touchdown percentage there, 2nd in the NFL. Give to Jackson. Jackson still moving his feet. Vanden Bosch finally brings him down, but some tough yards there. And you look at Chan Gailey taking over here in Buffalo. First year as head coach, takes over for Dick Jauron. And it's work in progress. A lot of changes. He's revamped a lot of things upstairs, downstairs, in the meeting room, just about everywhere. The team is trying to catch up. It's been painful.
Yeah, and he said he didn't want to peg any of these players. He wanted to evaluate for himself, and he's doing that this year, and they're getting better as the season goes on.
3rd and 2 to give to Jackson again. Does he have it? No, I believe they're going to mark him short. See the line judge there. Yeah, he's going to be about a half yard shy. We just talked about Buffalo and their red zone numbers, John. The only team in the NFL to score on every red zone possession. And they're calling for a measurement here.
And the only problem is that number right there, 16 times. They've only been down there 16 times. They don't get down there enough. They're very efficient once they do. Now it becomes, do you go for it on 4th down? You know what I do with what Detroit's doing? I go out there and I hard count them, try to steal me a 1st down.
And you're 0-8.
Yeah.
Is there a lot to lose right now?
Yeah.
And you've got a great red zone number. You're 0-8. The Lions are having trouble with penalties. You've been able to hard count them a couple times, and exactly like you say, go for it. So the Buffalo Bills will go for it. You see their numbers not real good on 4th down. They've gone for it more times on 4th down than any team in the NFL thus far. Jackson, he's stopped. He won't get it. Turnover on downs. A solid shot there by Ashley Palmer, the outside linebacker. You could hear that one all the way up here. So the red zone number was solid, but they get denied that time. Solid D by the Lions.
Well, memo to Chan Gailey, if you're going to go for it on 4th down, you probably shouldn't go right at the guy you waived this offseason, because Ashley Palmer was waived this offseason. The Detroit Lions picked him up, and he sure enough is the guy who made the stop on the 4th down.
Started 2 games for the Bills last year, originally an undrafted free agent for the Bills last year. This is Best going to the left. He'll pick up 5. Dwan Edwards is there. Let's go back to that stop.
One of the things you see the Detroit Lions becoming more proficient is run-throughs, we call them, by the linebacker. See a hole, go take it, make the play in their backfield. And Ashley Palmer is going to shoot that gap in a good, solid tackle. And he gets off and I'm sure has some choice words for that Buffalo sideline.
The ball came out there, but it didn't matter on the 4th down. Lead was already stopped. This is Best. Best will have the first down as he runs right out of bounds after he gets it. The Lions come into this game, John, with serious road woes. They're on a 24-game road losing streak. That dates back to 2007, October of 2007. That was their last win on the road. You look there at Scott Linehan, the Lions offensive coordinator. And the quarterback carousel for them keeps changing. Jim Schwartz said the other day, we made it a mission to go out and get a quarterback, a backup quarterback in the offseason just in case. Well, just in case happened a couple times.
That was a priority, and it's proven valuable right now.
1st and 10 pass, easy completion to Pettigrew. Look at Pettigrew, hurdles a man as he gets down to midfield. So Pettigrew, 3rd in the NFC and catches for a tight end, picks up 22 and a first.
Well, it's one of the things with this Detroit Lions offense. Very talented, weapons all around. You see
There's
a lot
no
of
foul on the play for an illegal shift.
You see a lot of free runners because they have so many. You're going to double Calvin. You're going to try to take away Nate Burleson. Well, Pettigrew's going to be wide open. And one of the things running the football this much early, it could open Calvin up down the field. When you run the football, it brings safeties into the box. Calvin Johnson outside.
Best rounded up by the Bills. Maybe a couple. Let's go to Los Angeles for a game break at Kurt Menefee.
Loses a 5 straight. It's getting ugly for Cincy. Today at Indy, Carson Palmer just throws that right to Kelvin Hayden. He returns it for a touchdown. Bengals get the ball back. They fumble it. 2 turnovers in 14 seconds. It's 10-0, and the Colts are knocking on the door for more. Ron and John.
John, you got Ocho, you got Tio, you got all the glitz and glamour, but you can't get the W's there in Cincinnati. 2nd down, 7. Complete again. This time it's Johnson. Just a little turn route. And they were only able to get Johnson the ball 1 time. Actually, 2 catches. 1 was called back. But, John, you've been on that soapbox all year long. Get him the ball and get it to him early.
Well, I think he's that good. You got a guy like Calvin Johnson. Yes, you had Darrelle Revis on him. For those of you in Detroit, I don't care if you have Night Train Lane on him. You've got to get this guy the football. He's a game breaker. He can go up and get it with anyone. They've got to feed Calvin Johnson.
Safety blitz from way outside. They bring Bird, and Bird holds it to about a 2-yard gain. That's Kevin Smith on the run. That's going to bring up a 2nd down. And the Lions trying to bounce back after that dreadful overtime loss in their eyes, 23-20 in a game that they were leading 20-10 with 6 minutes left, and for all intents and purposes had the game wrapped up if it weren't for a couple of questionable decisions. 2nd and 8. Quick throw tipped. Picked off. Dwan Edwards. Tipped by Whitner, picked off by Edwards. 2 interceptions on the year for the Buffalo Bills. So with 17 seconds left in the first quarter, the Lions driving, and they throw the interception. The 2nd career interception for the man on the right, that's Edwards. Fake the toss, give the Spiller going the other way, and he's hemmed up in the backfield, and that will be the end of the first quarter. Julian Peterson is there to close it out. A 0-0 game here after 1 quarter. That's the end of the first. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages. Coming up next, our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader continues with America's game of the week, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Red Hot Giants in Jason Garrett's first game as Cowboys head coach. Coverage begins after our game right here on Fox. Enough drama for you down there in Dallas this week, John?
A lot of drama. It's a soap opera. Dallas all over again.
Former Bills head coach Wade Phillips fired. Jason Garrett takes over, but a lot of people are asking, is Jason Garrett the long-term answer? Second and 12. The slant, it's caught. And that's Lee Evans, a guy who's been relatively quiet coming into today's game with 29 catches. He picks up 9.
And you knew coming in with Roscoe Parrish having gone out for the season with an injury. Did you see Ryan Fitzpatrick take it from Ndamukong Suh again? That Lee Evans' production would increase. They've got a lot of weapons. Stevie Johnson, Roscoe Parrish have been their 1 and 2. Lee Evans will become a bigger part of the picture with the loss of Roscoe Parrish.
3rd and 3. Going deep for Evans. He's got a step, and he's got the ball. He beat Chris Houston for 43 yards.
Let's take a look at Lee Evans. They're going to have a single high, man-on-man outside. Chris Houston, Ryan Fitzpatrick said, as soon as I see this, I'm going after him, and I'm throwing it to Lee Evans. And sure enough, they do. The second shot they've taken downfield, and this one they pay off. Great job by Lee Evans going and getting it. Ryan Fitzpatrick said, you put it out there, Lee Evans will go get it.
That ball is on the money. First and goal, Jackson sniffing end zone, and he's down to the inch line.
You see tough running by Fred Jackson right here. Going to run in between the tackles, going to keep those legs churning all the way down to the 1 yard line. You're the Buffalo Bills, you've got to punch this ball in the end zone.
Second and goal. Jackson is in for the touchdown.
You know, one of the things, Ronnie, I asked Jim Schwartz is, how is your team emotionally? How is your team physically? They played a tough physical, as Jim Schwartz said, a playoff-type atmosphere versus the New York Jets last week. Came out on the losing side. How were they going to respond? So far, not good.
3rd rushing touchdown of the year for Jackson as we get our first score of the game thus far. And an extra point makes it 7-zip Buffalo. Some big plays like this one right here help get the Bills on the board first.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the Miller Lite Vortex bottle. Taste greatness. By Call of Duty Black Ops, available now, rated mature. And by the all-new Volkswagen Jetta. It's great for the price of good. That's Das Auto.
We've got a 7-0 game here in Buffalo. You look at the scoring drive, 5 plays, 57 yards, but it really all started with the big pass play. Fitzpatrick to Evans, 43 yards. This will be Logan at the goal line. Logan popped at the 23-yard line. Nice hustle by Brian Scott, the backup safety. A little Lambeau leap here in Orchard Park. 7-zip Buffalo Bills. Second quarter here in Buffalo. Ron Pitts, John Lynch, Carissa Thompson down on the field. And the story coming into this game, of course, Sean Hill, and he's got the cast on the left arm, the non-throwing arm, and we wondered how much of an issue that would be as far as moving the ball and throwing the ball.
And I don't think it's been an issue thus far. I think it's more so they're trying to protect Sean Hill. They're running the football. I think they're getting the desired effect They're getting the single high safety, getting Calvin outside. I think they got to stay with the game plan.
And they call that incomplete, and he's got the glove on the hand there, and my man John Lynch went down to the training room, broke in there real quick and got a glove out and a football just to give us an idea of what he's going through, what it looks like.
One of the reasons he put the glove on, he had been in a cast up to here. He said he had a fistful of cast prior to last week. He didn't have the wrist mobility, so grip strength was a concern. He put the glove on to have better grip strength with that left hand, and thus far it hasn't seemed to be an issue.
You've seen guys in the past like Kurt Warner wore the glove for so many years whenever he had an injury on a hand. It can be done, and that's done very well there right inside. Reggie Torbor, the outside linebacker, with the play in the backfield, but let's check the marker.
Holding, 95, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's going against Kyle Williams, and that will negate the nice play.
Kyle Williams holding up the center, Rob Sims, and that's a call that has really decreased in the frequency and seen it since they moved the umpire to behind the line of scrimmage, but they catch it right there.
Best in trouble. Kelsey in the backfield. Let's go to Los Angeles for a quick update, and Kurt Menefee.
And talk about wanting it. LeGarrette Blount from the Buccaneers, 17 yards away, goes up and over for the touchdown. 17 yards on the score. He had 71 rushing on that drive alone. 78 in the game already. 14-3 Tampa. Ron and John.
Hey, Kurt, I don't know if he wanted it. I think he was trying to showboat before he got to the end zone and got caught. A loss of 3 on the last play. Second and 13, complete. That's Smith, and look at Smith. Smith with a nice run as he's pushed out of bounds at midfield. A pickup of 25 yards. Gain of 25 on the play.
They put Calvin Johnson in the slot. He's going to attract attention wherever he goes, and sometimes in not throwing it to Calvin, he still has a huge effect on the game. The middle of the field right there, wide open, all the attention on Calvin Johnson. He clears, and Kevin Smith is the beneficiary of all that open space.
So they'll mark it just in front of the 50-yard line. They'll go back to Smith again. Not much. Torbor is there. If you're just tuning in with us, we've had some big plays here in the first quarter. Detroit stuffed Buffalo on a 4th and inches in the red zone. Then Buffalo came back with a key interception. It was tipped, finally picked up by Dwan Edwards for his second career interception. And the Bills just recently got on the board with a short run by Jackson.
One of the reasons, in addition to just feeling they have to, the Detroit Lions are running the football. Look at those safeties. The safeties are back to protect against Calvin Johnson, all the weapons that the Detroit Lions, it opens up holes like that to run the football. It's available, and that's the kind of effect we talked about in the pass game. Calvin Johnson has an effect. Well, in the run game, he does as well. It keeps the safeties back. Opportunity to run the ball when you have numbers. You have an advantage in numbers.
And the Bills ranked last in the NFL at stopping the run, giving up 178 rushing yards per game on average. 3rd and 2. Looks like a hold, though, as Smith's helmet comes off. They might get the right tackle, Gosder Shirless.
You think?
Holding, 77, offense, 10-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Penalties once again, John, showing up against Detroit.
Let's watch Gosder Shirless. Kelsey makes the inside move, and yeah, he holds them for sure.
7th penalty of the day against the Lions. This is a 3rd and long, 3rd and 12. Calvin Johnson up top. The furthest outside receiver. Screen backside. The Bills sniff it out. We said he was having a Pro Bowl type of year. That's Kyle Williams with the tackle on Best. And that'll bring up 4th down. A loss of 1 on the play.
I thought George Edwards put it really bluntly about Kyle Williams. Sometimes guys are just football players. They aren't the ideal size, but look at the diagnosis. You're rushing the passer, you realize screen, what's he do? He runs to Javid Best, and he goes and makes the play. That's big-time football for a guy who's having a big-time year, Kyle Williams.
Nick Harris standing at the 31 will punt it away. Not a great kick. Plenty of room for Spiller. He needs a block. Spiller around the corner, still going, pushed out of bounds at about the 48-yard line. 29 yards on the return by Spiller.
Today's game is sponsored by the Ford F-150 and its 4 new engines. This is the future of truck.
A look at the Bills' offensive leaders. And one guy missing out of that group, John, a guy who you'd think would be involved fairly quickly, Stevie Johnson, who had 11 catches last week against the Bears. They'll keep it on the ground to Jackson, and Jackson, they blow the whistle even though he's still going. Kind of made himself a human target. Speaking of human target, Fox Wednesday, it's the season premiere of Human Target. The man who will guard your life with his own is getting a little payback. When your life is on the line, they're the team to call. Human Target, season premiere Wednesday at 8, 7 Central, right here on Fox. I think every running back in the NFL, John, is a human target. Some more than others.
I would say so.
The bullseye may be placed anywhere.
That's how I used to see him.
No yards on the play for Jackson. That one incomplete, in and out of the hands of Johnson. And if you ever wondered whether or not Fitzpatrick could throw the ball, well, that might have ended your questions right there.
Yeah, he just put the fastball on it right there. And Stevie Johnson and he have been a great combination all year. He tries to force it into a tight window. Got a lot of trust in Stevie Johnson, but a good play by Amari Spivey, who's starting again in the secondary for the Detroit Lions. Jim Schwartz is really high. He's a converted corner, but a guy they're very high on at the safety position.
We've got a third down coming up, and Ryan Fitzpatrick very solid on third down. Second in the NFL in third down passing behind Drew Brees at 68%. But we talked about the Lions and their issues in close games. Well, the Bills have had the same thing. A couple weeks ago against the Baltimore Ravens, lose that one in a close one by 3. This is overtime. 2 weeks ago against Kansas City, lose it again. And then last week they stayed close, but in the end, some wayward throws and just not enough fuel in the tank to pull out the win against the Bears.
Yeah, and Ronnie, they've had their tough losses, but I think the one thing that really impacted you and I is this is an upbeat place right now. They feel like they're getting better. They're in these games. They know they're close. They just got to get over that hump, and they're hopeful that today they can do that.
3rd and 10 screen. Nice call, but can Jackson make it work? And I believe he does with the great second effort. The ball is loose. Lions say they have it. No sign yet from the officials. The Lions do have it.
Fred Jackson, you said it, Ronnie, the second effort. So often it's the second effort when you cough that ball up. Good job by the Detroit Lions forcing the turnover. We come back to action. Fred Jackson fighting for a first down. It's Lawrence Jackson having a big impact in the absence of Cliff Averill. Knocks the ball out, and DeAndre Levy, the middle linebacker, comes out of that scrum. How many times do you think it changed hands under that scrum?
1st and 10 Lions, that's best for a couple. Well, next weekend on Fox Sports Net, it's college football's big Saturday triple header in the Big 12. First, Oklahoma State looks to stay on top of the Big 12 South and avoid the upset versus Kansas. Then Andrew Luck and surging Stanford, that's John Lynch's guys, have their sights set on a BCS berth, but rival Cal wants to mess it all up. And later, Blaine Gabbert at Missouri will go up against Iowa State. That's next Saturday on FSN. Second down and 8. That's complete. That's Johnson, Calvin Johnson, with the yards after the catch and the first down. And that's one thing that Chan Gailey said, we've got to stop two guys from beating us today. Number one is Best. Number two, that guy right there, Calvin Johnson.
And Chan Gailey very familiar with Calvin Johnson, recruited him to Georgia Tech. Chan Gailey talking about Calvin Johnson said, in high school he was a man amongst boys, in college he was the best player, in pro he's the best player. He truly embodies that saying, a man amongst boys.
.17 on the pass play. They'll go to the right side for a run. And that's Smith. For a Bears update, let's go to Los Angeles and Kurt Menefee. Kurt.
And the Bears look good, at least on this one. Jay Cutler hooking up with his tight end Greg Olsen for a 17-yard score. Only touchdown in the game so far, but Chicago's got the lead over Minnesota. 7-3 late in the second. Ron and John.
Lions fans keeping an eye on that one. Packers in control in the division. The Bears in second place at 5-3, and Vikings at 3-5 as you look at Cutler's numbers. A pickup of one on the last play, 2nd and 9. Best. And Best inside. He'll get 2. Marcus Stroud is there.
You know, and people at home in Detroit might be saying, what are they doing running the football? I think it's good. I think they've got to continue to run the football. Javid Best is an explosive player, and it will open up the outside receivers for guys like Calvin Johnson later on in the game.
Third and 7. It's complete to Johnson, and that's a first down. A nice turn route there at the sticks as he moves the chains. John, he knew exactly where he had to be for that first. A lot of guys will make a mistake and not get far enough.
Yeah, and you watch him. They're going to put him inside on the slot. This is what you call a little jerk route, and it's basically when you're a little kid, go get open.
Oh.
Well, what a great move by Calvin Johnson, and a nice throw by Sean Hill, sticking with Calvin Johnson and fitted in on that back shoulder away from the linebacker, Paul Posluszny.
He made Brian Scott look like the jerk. Don't feel bad, Brian. I've been on the other end of that move a couple times. Looking deep, it's not there. A marker goes down the backfield, and Hill out of the pocket can safely throw it away. But that's in the area of a hold.
Looks like they caught Jeff Backus, the left tackle, against Chris Kelsey.
Holding, number 76, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
8th penalty on the day for the Lions.
And Ron, we talk about the switch to the 3-4 because of the nature of the Lions offense. 3 wide receivers. We're seeing more 4-3 from this Buffalo Bills defense, and Chris Kelsey, as a consequence, I believe, is having a very productive game. We've seen him draw 2 penalties. He's been all over the field, much more comfortable with his hand in the ground as a defensive end.
Well, that'll move it back and make it a long down and distance. 1st and 20. Bill still staying deep with those safeties, respecting Calvin Johnson. So they'll throw underneath. And a nice tackle. Ball is out. It's recovered by Best. But you saw there as Johnson tried to get a few extra yards. Rounded up quickly there by Dante Whitner.
Yeah, he's got to be careful there, stretching that ball out. He's so long, he's trying to get yards, and yards are valuable, but the ball's more valuable. And you can do that down near the end zone, but right there, you've got to be smart with that football. Good job by Javid Best being on the spot.
2nd and long. Pick up a 5. Best trying to turn the corner. Nice job by the corner of not letting him get outside. That's Drayton Florence, who came up for secondary support superbly. A loss of 1.
You know, and one of the things Javid Best is learning, much like C.J. Spiller on the other side, is in college they could outrun everyone. This is the NFL.
Right.
There's a lot of speed on that defense as well. Sometimes you've got to put your foot in the ground and get north and south.
3rd and 16. Sack. The safety, Brian Scott. It looked like he wanted to go to the left, John, but Brian Johnson either tripped or got jammed up. And by the time Hill made a decision, it was too late.
Well, it was the latter. Watch Drayton Florence right here getting physical at the corner position, and that's where Sean Hill's read took him. And all of a sudden, you eliminate that read when he's on the ground.
Bump and run is an amazing tool when you know how to use it. Leotis McKelvin will go back deep. C.J. Spiller was walking to the Bills locker room. We'll try to get an update on him. Nearly blocked. Dante Whitner got real close. That ball is muffed, but muffed out of bounds by McKelvin. Vikings-Bears update out to Los Angeles and Kurt Menefee.
Yeah, forget that Bears touchdown we showed you because the Vikings have answered back. Brett Favre, his longest pass play of the year, wide open is Percy Harvin, 53 yards on the score. And the Vikings, in a game they really need, up 10-7, approaching halftime. Ron and John?
It's like we're going to have a shootout out there, Kurt.
Yeah, John, is Brett Favre one of those guys that just won't go away? And I say that on a positive side. No matter how you try to douse him and tell him this and that and paint the negative, he keeps coming back.
Keeps throwing touchdowns. Great player, one of the greatest I ever had the opportunity to play against. And good for him if he wants to keep playing, and he's playing at this level.
Incomplete, intended for Fred Jackson. Let's go down to the sidelines and Carissa Thompson.
Yeah, well, you didn't see C.J. Spiller on that return run. As you mentioned, he went into the locker room with a hamstring injury, has yet to return.
All right, thank you very much, Carissa. Yeah, that happened a few series ago. And Spiller, as many people know, the number 9 pick overall out of Clemson, really set college football on fire last year from an all-purpose yard standpoint, over 7,000 all-purpose yards. He can do it for you just about anywhere on the field. And that's a significant loss. 2nd and 10. It's all Jackson's game with a nice move there. He puts the stiff arm on Vanden Bosch and gets just past the 20-yard line.
Fred Jackson is going to have to carry the load with C.J. Spiller out. And he's carrying the load well. He just needs to hang on to the ball. We saw the previous drive, the fumble on the 3rd down reception. But Fred Jackson running very well today, doing a great job keeping his legs alive, breaking a lot of tackles.
Originally an undrafted free agent by the Bills in 2006. Last year, he emerged as a standout all-purpose back, over 1,400 yards in all-purpose yards and over 1,000 on the ground rushing. He's got 31 on the day and 10 carries. 3rd and 4. The deep one, and it's knocked away. Intended for Jones, but Chris Houston makes a nice recovery.
Well, Donald Jones is playing in place of Roscoe Parrish, who went on injured reserve with a broken wrist. And Ryan Fitzpatrick said he was not going to hesitate to go to Donald Jones. He's a guy he was very impressed with through the preseason. Donald Jones had an opportunity to gain even more trust with a catch there, but it goes through his hands.
So Logan back deep, 13.2 return average. That's good enough for 4th in the NFL. He's got a long of 71 on the year. Mormon gets it out. He didn't like it. You could tell by the way that one sounded. That's one of those ice balls when it gets real cold up here. It's like kicking 2 bricks. 34 yards on the punt by Mormon. And Matthew Stafford, the injury woes continued, injured for a 2nd time this year. The same shoulder, the same type of injury. And John, it takes us back to what Jim Schwartz said. You better have a capable number 2. And they've proved it this year.
Yeah, and you know, the shame of it and what makes it so tough for the Detroit Lions organization, he's playing such great football, and of late was playing such great football. A lot of injuries in 2 years. He's got to show that he can stay healthy, but he's proven that he's a top-flight guy when he is healthy.
Throw is complete to the tight end, Brandon Pettigrew. A pickup of 6.
You look at Stafford's numbers for the years, 6 touchdowns to 1 interception, really throwing the football great, showing great pocket presence. Last year, I couldn't tell you that I thought he was going to be a big-time player. What I've seen this year, he can be.
2nd down and 4. Hill in trouble, and Hill does what he can. Kelsey is there for the stop. No yards on the play, and that is the 2-minute warning. 7-0 Bills.
Let's watch Sean Hill at the end of this last play from scrimmage land on that left hand, and this one bites him a little bit. Look at him squeeze that fist. Told us he was a little concerned about falling. That's exactly how he broke his left forearm against the Giants. Taking a hit, he said, wouldn't be a problem. Falling might be.
He's got a plate and 6 screws as we speak in that forearm. 3rd and 3. Throws across his body. Boy, that's a tough throw looking for Johnson. And it was week 6 that he did it against the New York Giants. Watch his left hand as he hits the ground. As we said, he went in, had the surgery, put the plates in there, the screws. I don't know how much of a risk there is of doing the exact same thing again, John, even though you have the titanium in there, but I guess it's just for a peace of mind, if nothing else. So on 4th down, the Lions will punt it away. This one will be killed again inside the 5-yard line. So Hansen today being able to kill the ball. Now that's twice inside inside the 10-yard line. That's 48 yards on the punt. And I mentioned Hansen in street clothes. He was injured last week in an extra point try. So the Lions had to bring on a new kicker this week, and that's Dave Rayner, who will be handling the kicking duties.
Jason Hansen went down on a hit by Trevor Price, and it came back to bite him. Got hit the next play. Matthew Stafford goes in for a touchdown, and then Ndamukong Suh has to tip an extra point. He misses it. They go to overtime at 20-20. Would have been the difference in the game.
Called a knee ligament sprain for Hansen. So the Bills operating out of their end zone. That's Jackson, and he just barely got out, takes it down to about the 3-yard line.
And Ronnie, anyone who watches this Detroit Lions defense, their strength of their defense is the front four. Now's a good time for this front four to take this game over via stopping the run, and then once you stop the run, you earn the right to rush the passer and get after it. And these guys sure have the ability to do just that.
You see the timeouts in our Fox box, the blue lights. The Lions with 3 timeouts, the Bills with 2. 1:10 and counting. Jackson again. And Jackson goes backward. Well, coming up, it's the Visa halftime report. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy, all the scores and highlights from around the NFL. Plus, are John Lynch's Buccaneers for real? Maybe he can answer that question better than anybody. And is the nail in the coffin for the Vikings? I don't know. From the clip we just saw of Brett Favre, I'm not sure.
Well, to your question, I would say yes. Are the Bucs for real? Are the Vikings? Can you nail the coffin? No, not yet.
Always a tough fight in the NFC North. Of course, the Lions in that division trying to claw their way close to the top. But, you know, early on, everybody got excited because the Chicago Bears had got off to that hot start, but they have really cooled down a lot, but they're still in the mix.
Yeah, they are, and that division's wide open. The Packers really starting to play good football despite a number of injuries. But Detroit could get themselves, you know, they start stacking some wins. A lot of football to be played.
Timeout taken by the Lions, 3rd and 7. So the Bills will keep it conservative, keep it on the ground, backed up. A couple boos come out. That's Jackson on Jackson. Fred Jackson, the runner. Lawrence Jackson, who's had a nice game. He's got a sack and a fumble, forced fumble with the tackle. And a second timeout called by the Lions. They have one left, and they're going to get the ball back.
You know, and I think you mentioned conservative, very conservative. 3 straight runs. The problem is you got 50 seconds left on the clock. You're going to give the Lions the ball with good field position and an opportunity to go score before half. I would like to have seen Chan put the ball in the hands of his quarterback. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick has earned that trust and let him try to go get a first down.
And on the flip side of that, John, we're talking about an 0-8 team, a team that desperately needs to get a W. And I'm sure that's somewhere in the back of Chan Gailey's head. Hey, let's keep this thing fairly close to the vest and not screw it up. Logan with a nice run inside Buffalo territory down to the 35-yard line. And we're talking about Matthew Stafford, #1 overall pick in 2009. Named the starter week 1, but then the injuries hit. Week 11, injures the shoulder versus the Bengals. Misses a slew of games. Week 1 of this year has a nice game going, but hurts that shoulder again against the Bears. Then week 9 of this year, toward the end of the game and really looking good, hurts the shoulder, and that puts us where he is right now.
And it puts us to where we are right now. Sean Hill with the opportunity to go get some points on the board for the Detroit Lions before half.
25-yard return there by Logan on the punt. Hill gets it away. Boy, he did well to get it away. He didn't have any place to go with the football. Tried to get it out to Kevin Smith, incomplete.
And Chris Kelsey in that front four. This is the Buffalo Bills who have hit the quarterback less frequently than anybody in this league. Chris Kelsey gets a little chip, but keeps the contain. The rush lanes on Sean Hill, who's a surprisingly mobile guy. Chris Kelsey playing a very good football game for the Buffalo Bills thus far.
One timeout left for the Lions. Check down. Smith very wisely gets out of bounds with 27 seconds left.
That's a critical play. You saw a little missed tackle at the end, and good job by Kevin Smith. But Leotis McKelvin, the cornerback, with an opportunity to keep Kevin Smith inbounds, would have made the Lions use their last timeout. And that's the difference, the little things between winning and losing in the NFL.
Third and 3. Smith has the first down, out of bounds, tackled by Puzlezny. So the good news there, they pick up the first and stop the clock.
Very nice job by Sean Hill. He's looking downfield for Calvin Johnson on the play. Hangs in the pocket. Calvin Johnson right here in the slot. Sean Hill looks, tries to get the ball downfield to them. It's not there. He goes through his progression, gets it to Kevin Smith, who wisely once again gets out of bounds. Now you give yourself an opportunity to take some shots at the end zone, Ronnie, and get that touchdown before half.
Javid Best checks in at the back. Tipped up. Incomplete, nearly intercepted by what, John? 4 Bills? Looked like Arthur Moats, the 6th-round pick out of James Madison, got a hand on it.
Arthur Moats is an outside linebacker who they've been using in their rush package, and if you aren't going to get to the quarterback, get your hands up. And the Bills, someone's got to call that fair catch that thing, an opportunity to keep the Lions off the scoreboard.
First trip into the red zone by the Lions today, 14 seconds left. The quick handoff inside, Best. A little shovel pass there. And that forces the last timeout. That's the bad thing about that play. If you don't hit pay dirt with it, John, with time running out, you're going to have to burn your final timeout.
Now 6 seconds, you could go back and take a quick shot to the end zone but you got to take the shot to the end zone, because if you don't get there, time has run out.
Well, what do you think? Do you criticize not taking the shot at the end zone there in that sequence?
I think right there, that second down play is probably the opportunity to go to the end zone. They obviously felt like they had something with Javid Best, but it appears that they feel like they have enough time. Take one more shot, if not incomplete pass, and you get a chance. And you know what you could do here is just put Calvin outside, throw that little alley-oop up to him, and tell Calvin at the least bit it's got to be an incomplete pass. But I'm sure the Bills know that. They may have 2-3 people on
Well,
Calvin.
we've seen Calvin Johnson in the end zone a couple times this year. He's got the ability to go up and snatch that ball out of the air and use that body. 3rd and 4, 7 seconds left, no timeouts.
They got what they want. They got the one-on-one out there. Now Whitner.
They go the other side and get it intercepted. Leotis McKelvin. They wave it off. They say no. McKelvin thinks it's an interception, but
Pass is incomplete.
They did indeed go to Calvin Johnson, but just a miscommunication. Sean Hill throws it outside. Calvin Johnson goes inside.
boy, John, maybe we can see it better from this angle. Looked like it hit the ground there. It's not real clear.
And you know, if McKelvin's hand is underneath that ball, his arm is underneath the ball, it's okay for it to move. It does appear that as if it did hit the ground there.
It looks as though it did, right. Any review now has to come from upstairs in the booth.
3rd and final team timeout. Buffalo, 30-second timeout.
Smart decision by Buffalo to give the booth an opportunity to see it a couple more times. They use the timeout, and if at the least bit now the booth has some time to look at the replay here.
Buffalo calls timeout. They do have one left. That is not their last, but here's a look at the play.
Yeah, and it does appear to me that ball contacts the ground first before he gets his arm underneath. I think a good call on the field by the officials.
So this will be a field goal attempt by the man taking Jason Hansen's place. This is Dave Rayner from 25 yards out. And Rayner coming in for the first time, first field goal here, puts it through clean. So the Lions walking in at halftime put 3 points on the board. We've got a 4-point game. So, John, at first we think maybe it's conservative. They throw the ball up, maybe get lucky, not an interception, but they do get away with 3 points. We'll be back here in Buffalo in just a second. Be sure and follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. We've got a 7-3 game here in Buffalo. Ron Pitts, John Lynch, Carissa Thompson down on the sideline. And John, last play there, it looked like the Lions dodged a big-time bullet there with the interception, then no interception by Leotis McKelvin.
Yeah, McKelvin had it in his hands. Would have been huge. Kept the Lions off the board. But the Lions doing a good job of weathering the storm. Didn't start off well at all, but now you got a 7-3 one-score game. I think the weather really becomes an issue here. The rain's starting to come down a little harder. Who can run the football well in this second half and protect that football?
Donald Jones back deep with McKelvin. That's McKelvin, both filling in for the injured C.J. Spiller. And McKelvin will take it out to about the 27-yard line. Let's go down to Carissa Thompson.
Yeah, and then the rains came, you guys. First things first for Detroit, Coach Schwartz simply said 6 of those 8 penalties, which were in the first quarter, we didn't react well to the crowd noise, he said. We missed checks, just weren't concentrating overall. Defensively, he commented they have to be better up front. You guys had remarked on how good that front 4 has been. For Buffalo, an update, CJ Spiller will be out for the rest of the game with that hamstring injury. And for Coach Gailey, very simply, we got to stop the 3 and outs. We got to create better field position, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Carissa. Nice to have you over here with us, coming in from Big Ten land, doing the college football. 1st and 10. That's Jackson, and Jackson, who's had holes all day long, has another one. Fred Jackson with a big run of 39 yards, finally pushed out of bounds by Julian Peterson.
Well, partner, we posed the question at halftime, with this weather, who can run the football better? And right away, it appears as if the Bills talked about that at halftime, and Fred Jackson took notice. A great run by Fred Jackson right off the bat, establishing that we're going to come out and run the football and run it well.
The longest run of the year for Fred Jackson, eclipsing his old mark of 31 yards. They'll give it to him again. This time the Lions say, Stat-wise, John, the Lions won't impress you. They come in ranked 27th against the rush, giving up over 100 yards rushing a game. But with Ndamukong Suh down inside, they haven't always played like that. They played much better.
Yeah, and they've been improving of late. They went against the Jets, traditionally a great running football team, 110 yards. Good effort, 3.7 average. Washington, 80 yards 2 weeks ago. This is an improving team against that run, and they're going to have to show that in the second half.
A loss of 1 yard. Jackson putting his head down, moving his feet, and just coming up with the grinding yards as he works inside the Lions' 30-yard line.
We talked about Donald Jones, the young receiver who's stepping in for Roscoe Parrish, being a physical player. Well, they're utilizing him as a run blocker today. He's paving the way for Fred Jackson, puts a little contact on Chris Houston, the corner, but they've done that throughout the game. Physical wide receiver, and they're going to use him as such, as a lead blocker.
Third and 4. A little bit of pressure. That's caught. That's the man we've been talking about, Steve Johnson. And Johnson with a Bills first down. That's his first catch of the day. And I mentioned earlier, last week, John, he set a career high with 11 catches for over 145 yards or 145 yards against Chicago.
No, this is a guy who's been playing great football, outstanding football out of nowhere. He's a guy that Chan Gailey said almost impossible to handle one-on-one. Interesting story, he and Ryan Fitzpatrick were on the scout team together, second teamers last year. They developed a chemistry between each other, and they really like working with each other.
Quinton Ganther just signed this week. Will get the carry here. And he's wrapped up immediately. That's Palmer, the former Buffalo Bills. Already made one big play today, John, on a 4th down stop. He comes up with another, rounding up Ganther.
Well, Martin Mayhew, my former teammate down in Tampa and the general manager of the Detroit Lions, told me early in the year that this Ashley Palmer was a real find. Buffalo waived him. He didn't know quite why, because he's a big-time talent that they see as a starter in this league. And he's showing that today, making some impact plays.
7-3 game, the Bills marching. Johnson across the formation. Pressure, the shovel pass. That's Jackson again, and Jackson turning the corner, looking end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo.
Really nice creativity by Chan Gailey and this Buffalo Bills offense. Fred Jackson is running well today. Tough guy to tackle. Get the ball to him in space and let him do his thing, and that's exactly what he does. And the product of that is a touchdown, Buffalo Bills.
His second rushing touchdown today, 4 on the year. The first one was actually a pass play. The extra point is good by Lindell, but thus far, John, for Buffalo, it's the Fred Jackson day. 14-3, Buffalo.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By GMC, the official vehicle of the NFL. By FedEx, we understand you need a winning game plan. FedEx. And by Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Well, the Bears have what they call bear weather. Welcome to Buffalo. This is Buffalo weather. The rain coming down quite heavy now, and the Bills going down the field pretty heavy. 6 plays, 73 yards. Capped off by the touchdown run by Jackson. John, you know this feeling, right? Having problems teeing the ball up.
I've been there, much like Ndamukong Suh. Ryan Lindell right there. Long story.
I joke about my partner, John Lynch, because at one point in his career, he attempted a couple kickoffs. But you had to work with that newfangled tee.
I was used to the old school two-pronger. It dates me.
The gold one, right?
I got out there. I honestly didn't know what to do. We'll show you in just a little bit. Game against the New Orleans Saints. I had some fun with Ndamukong Suh talking about old high school kickers getting an opportunity to kick in the NFL. It's the one picture I keep of myself from my NFL days is a picture of me kicking the football.
McKelvin will hold it as the wind picks up along with the rain here. That gets it done. Nice kick. Ball dropped. He better pick it up. Logan mishandling the ball in the wet weather. But it's all about the Bills and that man, Fred Jackson. December 23rd, 2001, the Saints and the Buccaneers. That's my partner, John Lynch, attempting to kick that ball off. John, the first one, I don't think you liked too much.
No, as attempting's the right word. It went a little better. Only did the 20. I don't know. It's been 20 years since I had done that.
Yeah, the first one went to the Saints 30. The second one went to the 20. We'll take the second one. What do they say, John? The more you can do. That's best. Looked like a face mask. Now, John, you also, I believe, got called for a delay of game on this play.
I was trying to tell that referee before he started the clock. I said, hey, buddy, you know how to work these new tees? And he said, John, I'm 65 years old. How do you think I'm going to know how to work these tees? I'm used to the two-pronger as well, and delay a game is the byproduct of that.
A pickup of 1 on the play. That ball knocked away, nearly intercepted by Dante Whitner. But, you know, it takes us back to Ndamukong Suh. And last week, I think a lot of people thought that was some kind of novelty act for your first rounder. But, you know, he had kicked before. They had a competition in training camp, and he went out there and tried to kick the ball.
Yeah, they had a competition kind of in fun. If he made the kick, they didn't have to run. He made it. But, you know, Jim Schwartz said it's not a novelty act. This is a guy who can kick and kick well. Unfortunately, it played a part in them losing the game along with a lot of other things. Devastating loss for the Detroit Lions last week.
3rd and 9, the drop off. That's Best. Best tried to get around Reggie Corner and couldn't do it. That'll bring up 4th down. Well, speaking of the Suh attempt last week against the Jets after Jason Hanson suffered an injury, Suh comes in without any warm-up, I might add, and dings the right upright.
They weren't booing him. They were saying Suh, and you know he wasn't happy with it. He said he expects himself. He's having an outstanding rookie season, by the way, at his real job, which is a defensive tackle.
Harris punting it away. McKelvin taking over for Spiller. He's got a corner. Just wrapped up at the last second there. Bobby Carpenter, the backup linebacker, but we've got a marker. We'll listen in to Walt Coleman. He's been busy early.
During the kick, holding, 20, return team, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's going against Whitner. and the Bills will go back 14-3, just starting the second half.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet. Every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty.
John, you made the point during the break. Without that penalty now, Buffalo's in a great position maybe to take a shot deep with the momentum they have.
Yeah, momentum has clearly shifted in this game into the hands of Buffalo, and it would have been a great opportunity to take a shot. Now if you can get it near that 50-yard line, I think you want to be aggressive and do indeed take that shot.
They will pass it. That's Johnson. And Johnson out to the 25-yard line. Let's go down to Carissa Thompson.
Well, guys, there's a competition over here on the sideline for motivational speaker. Early on, it was safety Louis Delmas, who was just all up in the face of his entire defensive squad, secondary guys up front, etc. And now Gunther Cunningham, you guys, defensive coordinator, seeing a side of him you don't normally see. He's definitely fired up, paying off the point that Swartz told me at halftime. He wanted that front to be more aggressive, guys.
All right, Carissa, and actually we've seen that side a couple of times from Gunther, and his players have too. He is a fiery guy, long-time defensive coordinator. And you know what? Maybe it worked, Carissa, because that's a nice play there on Jackson. DeAndre Levy is the first man there.
And Carissa's exactly right, and Gunther Cunningham is a great motivator. And I think on that play, you saw a defense flying to the football, and that's what it takes to play successful defense. DeAndre Levy certainly heeded the message, flying to the football, and that Fred Jackson touchdown earlier on the shovel pass, that's what got Gunther hot, because it was sloppy tackling. He wants his guys to play hard, tackle well. They need to get back in this game.
3rd and 5. Draw, Jackson. That's been good for them most of the day, but that time the Lions say no. No more. Kyle Vanden Bosch is there. He picks up 3, not enough for the first down, and they'll punt it away. And Jackson a little slow to get up, look like.
And they could ill afford to elude Fred Jackson. Remember, C.J. Spiller already out for the game. The only other guy they have to run the football is fullback Corey McIntyre and Quinton Ganther, who they just signed this week.
An injured Bill. We'll check on him when we come back. 14-3 Buffalo. And the injured Bill on the play was indeed Fred Jackson.
You watch him a little draw on 3rd and 5, and at the end of this play, you're just going to get buckled over. Kyle Vanden Bosch has the right knee, the right leg, and he gets buckled back. And they can, as I mentioned, ill afford to lose Fred Jackson. Already lost C.J. Spiller today.
Whoa, that's a risky catch in inclement weather in Buffalo. I got to take my hat off to him for that one. Stephon Logan snares a 47-yarder. We've still got a 14-3 game. .3 game, 7:56 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Buffalo up. The rain has started to fall here in the second half, actually just before halftime. And the Lions will take over at the 25-yard line. Throw across the middle, and you see in and out of the hands of the tight end Pettigrew. Let's go down to Carissa Thompson.
Well, good news for Buffalo fans. I don't need to wait for the training staff to give me an update on Fred Jackson. Watching him on the sideline, running back and forth, making cuts. Just spoke with his quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and said, I'm good to go.
Yeah, and that's good for Buffalo, John. I just saw this stat. We had it on our monitor there for a few minutes. The first to have a rushing and receiving touchdown in a game since 2003. That's impressive as they give the ball to Best for a few inside. The last guy to have those kind of numbers in a game here in Buffalo was Travis Henry. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 8.
And this is a 3rd down defense in Buffalo that's ranked 24th in the league. However, the last 3 weeks, much like their offense, it's been grossly improved. 34.2% of the time, the opposing team's getting a first down. Much better, tied for 11th during that span. Would be huge to get off the field and maintain the momentum here.
That's the tight end Scheffler, and Scheffler will have the Lions first down. So the Lions doing a nice job of spreading the Bills out. They've really done that all game long. And Hill a nicer job of finding the open receiver.
Yeah, and when you talk about finding the open receiver, there's a lot of choices when you're a quarterback for these Detroit Lions. You got Calvin Johnson outside, Nate Burleson inside, Pettigrew and Scheffler, the tight ends who have the highest production in the NFL from a team in terms of tight ends. Weapons all over the field for the Detroit Lions.
They give to Smith, and Smith maybe one or two. The world's most watched soccer league is the Barclays Premier League, and you can find it on the Fox Soccer Channel. Next weekend, Mexican sensation Chicharito leads Manchester United into a battle with Wigan live next weekend, only on the Fox Soccer Channel. Wonder who Ndamukong Suh's favorite soccer team is.
Maybe Chicharito.
Be his favorite player, right? 2nd down and 8. Oh, that one floated out late, intended for Felton. Time to go out to L.A. for a game break in Kurt Menefee.
Once down 17-3 in Jacksonville, Houston's mounted a comeback. Matt Shaw hooking up with an open Andre Johnson. 9-yard score, and it's tied now at 17 in the 4th quarter as it just kicks off. It just starts, we should say. Ron and John?
That's an AFC South matchup, and as you can see, the Tennessee Titans, with newly acquired Randy Moss, trying to hold on to their share of first place. 3rd and 8. Would have been a circus catch by Nate Burleson. Jarris Byrd on the coverage. That'll bring up 4th down.
Talk about a circus catch. It was a circus front for the Buffalo Bills. People all over, moving around. This is something Rex Ryan brought into the league a couple years ago, but people moving, not letting them know where you're coming from. It creates confusion, and it did right there. Shaun Hill not sure where the pressure was going to come from, gets the ball out early, getting off the field once again for the Buffalo Bills defense.
Lions 9 possessions, 7 punts. This is McKelvin. Had a nice return last time out, but it was called back. McKelvin with a lane. Another marker. There goes McKelvin. He scores, but this could be coming back. 78 yards. The previous return, same situation, called back.
During the return, holding 33, return team. 10-yard penalty for the spot of the foul. First down.
That's backup safety John Cordero with the hold.
That's John Cordero right there. He got that hand outside, and typically when you get that, the officials are going to see it.
It's all wiped out. That would have been the first career punt return for a touchdown by McKelvin, but it was wiped out by the penalty. And you said during the break, John, special teams coach, Bill's special teams coach, Bruce DeHaven, was letting the official know that he didn't exactly agree 100% with the call.
And a close call, but you put yourself in those officials' shoes. When they're seeing something from far away, it's a lot of times just where your hands are placed, and his hand did get a little outside.
Is Fitzpatrick going to snap his chin strap? Guess not. He'll hand it off. That's Quinton Ganther. And, John, you teed this up earlier. Now the Bills with the injury to Jackson. And Jackson, as Carissa said, will be okay, it appears. They're down to a guy they just signed this week carrying the football as you look at the offensive leaders.
And I think that what that tells me is you've got to continue to run the football, but you've really got to trust this guy, Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's earned that trust. Put it in his hands and stay aggressive and go try to win your first football game.
We'll play with the game clock on the scoreboard. Second down.
A loss of 2 on the play. Ganther will remain in at the running back spot. He was cut by Seattle last week. Preston action a little quicker than perhaps anyone expected. 2nd and 12. That ball knocked away, intended for Lee Evans. Peterson on the coverage. John, it feels like the momentum has gone out of, I don't know, air out of the balloon analogy, so to speak, for Buffalo, maybe after that penalty.
And that's what I'm talking about, staying aggressive. You can't hold on to a 14-3 lead in this league, particularly with the weapons on the offensive side of the ball for the Detroit Lions. You got to keep your pedal on the gas.
Right.
And right now, when you get in these third and long situations, you open it up to the strength of this team, the front four, the defensive line for the Detroit Lions, and they're coming right about now.
3rd and 12. Fred Jackson checks back in at the running back spot. Going deep. He's got a man. Nearly intercepted by Chris Houston. So Houston, who was burned earlier by Evans, that time almost made him pay. That's a 3 and out for Buffalo. They'll punt it away.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, one thing we noticed on film, no one puts more energy into every throw. I mean, this guy uses every ounce of energy on every throw. And right there, not too happy with himself. But you get in those third and long situations, it's tough to convert in this league.
Mormon will punt it away to Logan. Drives this one into the weather. Taken at the 14. Logan looking for a wall, got a block. Is able to turn the corner around the 23-24 yard line.
Look at a quick recap from the Buffalo Bills and their offense. Their offense was their defense at first. The interception by Dwan Edwards, that led into points via the bomb to Lee Evans. And finally, it's Fred Jackson going in the end zone. In the second half, they come out. They establish the run early. This is on a shovel pass. Fred Jackson, sloppy tackling by the Detroit Lions. That's been the offense thus far, and they need to figure out if Fred Jackson can go or not. Otherwise, it's going to be tough sledding for these Buffalo Bills.
2 touchdowns on the day for Jackson. 1 on the ground, 1 in the air. He has certainly been their money man. Play action, plenty of time for Hill. He throws that one into traffic.
Ronnie, this has been a much maligned defense under new defensive coordinator George Edwards. We talked about the transition from the 4-3 to the 3-4, from the 4-3 to the 3-4. They've really struggled, but they're playing outstanding football. You've got to give credit where credit is due, and this defense is certainly doing their job today.
Defense looking at a 2nd and 10 now after that deflection. The give to Best. Best. 1 or 2. They'll officially call it 2.
And talk about a defense doing their job. Well, here's the Detroit Lions, a prolific offense. They've got 9 possessions, 7 punts, 3 points. Outstanding defense by the Buffalo Bills.
Terrence McGee checks in at the cornerback spot. McKelvin is out. 3rd down and 8, and markers fly.
76, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Mistakes again going against the Lions. That's the left tackle, Backus.
And here we are, Ronnie, in the 3rd quarter, and we've got 9 penalties on these Detroit Lions. And you talk about little things, why a team's 2-6 with this much talent, things like that contribute to that losing.
3rd and 13. Calvin Johnson alone up top. Complete, but well short of the 1st down. That's Pettigrew. And the Lions will punt it away.
And good job by George Edwards and this Buffalo Bills defense. You get in those 3rd and long situations, get deep drops, keep the ball in front of you, come up and make clean tackles, and that's exactly what they did right there.
So McKelvin comes back in, goes back deep to return the punt. Last time out, he returned it for a touchdown, 78 yards, but it was called back because of a hold. Not a great kick. And he's hit hard at the 35-yard line. 37 yards on the punt, 1 yard on the return, and Brandon McDonald applied the wax. We mentioned earlier, John, the road woes for the Detroit Lions. 24 straight road losses, ties longest consecutive road losing streak in NFL history.
And the Buffalo Bills would like to get their first win and take that number to 25. And I think in order to do that, I keep mentioning it, but if you're Chan Gailey, you got to be a little bit aggressive. This Detroit Lions offense is not going to stay dormant forever. You've got to go attack on offense.
First and 10 give to Jackson. Now Jackson has been the guy all day, but John, give me some guys. Who would you get the ball to? I know Stevie Johnson has been relatively quiet.
Yeah, I think Lee Evans right about now. Now, it sure helps to have Fred Jackson back, and you just saw a great job by that offensive line pushing this vaunted Detroit Lions defensive front back there.
Right.
But I think Lee Evans has got to come into the picture. I think Stevie Johnson's got to emerge. He can't stay quiet all day long.
The pickup of 6 as you look at Evans' numbers. 2nd and 4. Jackson is through. And then some. Jackson edging toward a career day. Another big play. 27 yards on the run. A missed tackle there by Amari Spivey.
Well, that's being aggressive, right? You give the ball to Fred Jackson. Watch Eric Wood here. Get up to the second level. Nice job by Mansfield Rado, and great running by Fred Jackson, who's been eluding tackles and breaking tackles. Bad tackling, sloppy tackling by the Detroit Lions. That's why Gunther Cunningham's upset down on the sidelines.
Chan Gailey, along with offensive coordinator Curtis Modkins, got to give them credit for staying the course and staying with what's working, and that man as he goes over the 100-yard mark. Ganther checks in to give Jackson a rest. Ganther looks for the cutback. He'll pick up about 2. Landon Johnson on the tackle.
If you're the Detroit Lions and you want to kind of reverse history and, get your first road win and not be a 2-6 team anymore with all this talent, you got to bow up right about now. And these front 4 guys got to lead the charge. They put a lot of money into going acquiring really good players, and it's their time to step up and say, hey, we're not going to lose number 25. We're going to be the ones that cause us to win it.
2nd down and 7. And they'll keep it on the ground. Jackson continues to make people miss in the open field, in the backfield. He picks up 5.
That's where all his yards have been today after contact, and that's not a good sign when you have Ndamukong Suh going off to the sidelines injured. He's been a real force this year, and they can ill afford to lose him as well.
John, you talked about Fred Jackson. He spent 2 seasons in the U.S. Indoor League, the Arena League, and then he went over to the old NFL Europe League, spent a year on the practice squad. This guy has come up the ranks the hard way.
From co-college with Kurt Menefee.
The former undrafted free agent back in 06, and they keep it on the ground. That's McIntyre on the 3rd down. I don't think that he got it.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Excuse me, Ron. That front 4. Here's your opportunity, and Kyle Vanden Bosch was the guy who stepped up and made the contact there. And that's the kind of leadership you need in a time like this. Your team's struggling. Someone's got to step up and make a play. And it appears as if they just got that play right there.
Yeah, that's right. And they did it without Suh on the field. Suh coming back in.
First team timeout.
Vanden Bosch making a big play. So the team timeout called there by Buffalo. And they'll force the field goal situation.
And you talk about at halftime who's going to run the ball better. And thus far it's been the Buffalo Bills. But watch Kyle Vanden Bosch shoot in from that right and
knock the pile back.
Knock the pile back. And Sammy Lee Hill in the middle as well. And that's the strength of this team, the strength of this defense. And they stepped up finally and said, we're not getting by us, and forced a big field goal attempt by the Buffalo Bills.
So this will be Lindell, 41 yards out. He is 9 of 12 in field goals this year. It's drifting. That's not going to make it. So the Lions do better than that, John. They not only hold them to 3, they hold them to nothing. Well, tonight on Fox, an all-new episode of The Simpsons gets a free ride to higher education. Now they're living the good life, and the upper class will never be the same. Don't miss an all-new Simpsons tonight at 8/7 Central on the only place for new episodes. That's right here on Fox.
And we've talked about momentum swings, all these things, Ronnie. You got an 11-point ball game. You put a score on the board here, you're within 1 score, and that's exactly what the Lions need to do.
So this could be the last play of the third quarter. They'll come with the end around, and that's Burleson, and Burleson is still going. Look at Nate Burleson. Burleson close to midfield. What a way to end the third quarter. A 17-yard run. And the missed field goal by the Bills leaves the door open for the Lions. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a break from your local Fox station. Ron Pitts, John Lynch, Carissa Thompson down on the sideline. We start the fourth and final quarter here in Buffalo. We still got a 14-3 game. Deep across the middle of the field, there's the money man. That's Calvin Johnson, a big first down as he works inside Buffalo territory. And Johnson, slow to get up, hobbling, favoring that knee.
You go back and watch Calvin Johnson. His success this year have been on those in-breaking routes. Right there, we call that route a dig route. You go down about 14, 15 yards, cut across the middle, the slants. He can use that speed and that big body to shield the opponent. Good job by Scott Linehan.
Best trying to get outside. Hit late. That could be a marker. They don't throw it. That's Torbor that put it on him late. Let's go back to that catch by Calvin.
Calvin's been hampered by a right AC sprain in the shoulder of late, but here it looks as if the knee is what bothers him coming off the field. He takes a big lick for making Adele.
Looks to be moving around fairly well. A pickup of 1 on the play. 2 tight ends in the game. Best going backward. Loses yards, could have lost a lot more. Let's go to Los Angeles for an update. Here's Kurt Menefee.
After blowing a 17-3 lead, the Jaguars have retaken the lead. David Garrard hooking up with a tight end, Zach Miller, not the one from Oakland, the one from Jacksonville. His first touchdown puts the Jaguars up by 7, 24-17 midway through the fourth. Rod and John.
Boy, John, I can remember David Garrard was given up for dead earlier in the year, right?
Yeah, there's good David Garrard, there's bad David Garrard. Today they got the good one.
A loss of 2 on the last play. 3rd and 11. Complete over the middle. That's the tight end. That's Shuffler. But he's hit hard by Dante Whitner before the first down. So the Lions will try a field goal here, a long field goal. This will be Dave Rayner, once again signed this week. Rayner has been on and off 5 different teams since 2005. Originally a 6th-round pick back in 2005 by the Indianapolis Colts. He hit earlier in the day, as you look at Hansen there, from 25 yards out. This is 49 yards out. Bad snap. He didn't have a chance on that one. The snap was off to the right by the time they got it down. I think the timing was off.
Today's game is sponsored by Ram Trucks. Designed, tested, and proven to be the best trucks we've ever built. Ram by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by new Gillette Fusion Pro Glide. Turn shaving into gliding and skeptics into believers.
So a key play here in this game thus far, a miss there by Rayner. Not a very good snap. And as my partner John Lynch keeps alluding to, the Bills are letting the Lions hang around. Great play in the backfield there, Landon Johnson on Fred Jackson. Back to the kick. Yeah.
Excuse me, before the game, Ronnie, down on the field, Dave Rayner, the replacement for Jason Hanson, pushing the ball right. Look familiar? Pushing the ball right. And here's the field goal we just saw, leaving it right. They sure would like to have Jason Hanson about right now.
And John, kicking toward that end of the stadium, the tunnel end, the wind acts very differently than it does on the opposite side of the field. I think he also felt the effects of that one as well. Second and long, check down throw to Jackson. The Lions finally getting it. Now that's Julian Peterson with the tackle on Jackson, keying on Jackson, shutting him down here 2 plays in a row.
Yeah, you know, and Ronnie, we talked about the Buffalo Bills allowing the Lions to hang around. Well, the Lions, each time they get the ball back, though, they aren't doing anything with it. You've got to put points on the board, whether it be through the field goal, through the touchdown. You got to do something about it. And to do something about it, they've got to get off the field on another third down right here.
A loss of 2 on the last play, 3rd and 13. Middle throw to Jackson. And Jackson looks to be just shy of the first. Let's see where they mark it, though. I can't exactly tell from this angle. Looks like as though he's short, John.
It does appear as if he's short, but again, outstanding running by Fred Jackson.
No, that's a first down. He gave him a good mark, and he got the first down.
We were looking at the first down marker on the far side, which wasn't extended. But Fred Jackson, second effort running again. He's gone off with an injury, but it's the missed tackles by the Detroit Lions defense in the second effort, yards after contact by Fred Jackson. That's been the story in the second half and throughout the game today.
Jackson, 120 yards, 21 yards rushing on the day thus far. That's Quinton Ganther, and Ganther stumbles across for about 2 or 3 yards. A marker goes down, and here's Walt Coleman.
Illegal shift. 2 men moving and not resetting. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So the Bills get popped for the illegal shift.
We talk about this second effort running. You get the ball to Fred Jackson. It's been working. And if you're the Detroit Lions, you've got to be able to tackle in the open field. It's tough. It's hard. But you got to be able to do it. You got to get hats on the ball. You got to trust your teammates that they're going to be, that your help's going to be where you expect it to be, and you've got to tackle in this league. And the Detroit Lions have failed to do so today.
Go back to Ganther, and the Lions are all over it. Great play there by Ndamukong Suh. Let's go down to Carissa Thompson.
Well, if Detroit wants to get back in this game, they're going to need Calvin Johnson. So the good news is he is okay after running on the sideline here, squatting down a couple times. He was pointing to the back of that right knee, but looked at Matt Stafford and said, I'm good.
All right, Carissa, thank you. A loss of 1 on the play, and Suh showing that he's good as well. 3.5 sacks in the last 3 games, showing he can play the run just as well as he can play the pass. In a tight game like that, this is where you need your first rounder to show up and make plays like that. 2nd and 16. That one came out a little low. Incomplete. John, we've seen that from Fitzpatrick in the past, especially the Kansas City Chief game, as a Lion is shaken up a few weeks ago. Toward the end of the game, balls just started to go everywhere on Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he's been incredibly efficient and accurate in the early parts of games. As the game moves on, really in pressure situations, he's had a tendency to be a little wild with the ball. And to finish this game off today, he's going to have to protect the football.
Turk McBride limped off. That was a Lion shaken up. Lawrence Jackson will sub in for him. 3rd and 16 draw. It's been good today for the Bills, but not that time. Suh along with Johnson, and that will bring up 4th down.
You don't think it's tough in the NFL. You want to know why Turk McBride went off. Watch Demetrius Bell. with a little
It's an old school head slap. Well, he hit that. Looked like he hit that knee as well. He's holding the shin. But on the films on Monday, the guys are going to give him a hard time with the slap in the head.
You got to do whatever you can to protect your quarterback, and the Bills have done a good job of that thus far today.
So Mormon will punt it away. He's at the 35-yard line. Not a very good kick, but he'll get a great roll. Ball rolls out of bounds at about the 12-yard line. 41 yards on the punt and roll. Weather here in Buffalo. It's coming down to crunch time. 8:37 to play. Lions down 14-3. They have the ball spotted at the 12-yard line. Middle screen, Felton. He's got some room. Big Jerome Felton down to the 32. Finally brought down by Jarris Byrd.
A very nice call by offensive coordinator Scott Linehan. You know, we talked early on about the need to establish the run. Well, it's not working. This Buffalo defense has been outstanding versus the run. You got to open it up. You got to go let Shaun Hill try to win this football game, and you got to try to change the rhythm and momentum of the game. And the screen was a great call there by Scott Linehan and got them out of backed up territory.
To the tune of 19 yards. Play is stopped. Markers fly.
False start, 85. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Out to a place with some better weather on the Chicago update. Kurt Menefee, update time.
It is windy, and right now the Bears are beginning to blow it open. Jay Cutler to Kellen Davis. First catch of the season. It's a 19-yard score, and the Bears are opening it up. 27-13 midway through the fourth quarter. Ron and John?
Jay Cutler on the day, and the Bears feeling healthy at home. First and 15 after the penalty. A high one, and it's complete. Scheffler takes a hit by Whitner, but he's got the first down. Covered on the play by Scott, but a pickup of 18 yards.
Very nice job by Shaun Hill getting himself out of a bad situation, but the 10th penalty prior to that by the Detroit Lions here today. And you know, I keep harping on it, but it's something when it keeps showing up. Now, of their 9 games, they've had 5 games where they've had 10-plus penalties. That's unheard of. You can't do it and win football games in the National Football League.
Timeout called by the Bills. We'll be back. 14-3 Buffalo.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Windows 7.
So 1st and 10 for the Lions. Scheffler has been big here in the second half. 3 catches, 34 yards. Play action looking deep. Throws the comeback to Johnson, and he's got some. Look at the stiff arm by Calvin Johnson. He put it on Drayton Florence and then went down the sideline for 29 yards.
And that's the one thing you have to continue to do. Continue to feed Calvin Johnson. You don't have to throw him all deep balls because he's so strong. He's going to break tackles and make yards after the carry. Throw him the ball behind the line of scrimmage. This guy's a football player. Get it in his hands.
The Lions approaching the red zone. Drop. Intended for Best. And John, you've talked about it before. The Bills have missed some opportunities to put the Lions away. The 78-yard punt return by Leotis McKelvin for a touchdown called back because of a penalty. And then Lindell missed the 41-yard field goal.
Yeah, you know, and when you have a 2-6 team and an 0-8 team, there's reasons why. And it's almost as if both teams are afraid to stake claim to this game and say, hey, we're going to finish this team. And as a result, we've got a 14-3 game Lions very much in this game with 6 minutes and 12 seconds left.
Hill in trouble. No place to go. Pump fakes, gets a man, but it's dropped. Pettigrew had it, then dropped it. A great ad-lib there by Shaun Hill.
And Shaun Hill, surprisingly mobile guy. George Edwards, the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, was certainly aware, and you aren't going to see him run today, and that's a ball Brandon Pettigrew should catch, and every catch is crucial and critical at this juncture. Two-score game, they got to get at least a field goal on this drive.
This is a 3rd and 10. Calvin Johnson is in the slot, right over the 3rd and 10 mark. Going deep to the other Johnson, and it's knocked away. Great play by Leotis McKelvin. That's Brian Johnson, who they were shooting for. And that will bring up 4th down, and another attempt now by Dave Rayner.
And the important thing, as we mentioned, was to get points on the board. But you talked about the other Johnson. They got it to the wrong Johnson, because this Johnson, Brian Johnson, has only had 9 catches on this season coming into this game. Calvin Johnson's the guy you want to go to in that situation.
45 yards out for the newly acquired Rayner, and he puts it through. With a little wind at his back, a cross wind and a little rain, he gets it done. 14-6 Bills. So Rayner comes away with some points. 5:53 left. We've got an 8-point game. McKelvin. McKelvin with a move. McKelvin with a nice return just past the 30-yard line. And if you're a Lions fan, don't fret here in the 4th quarter. In spite of the record, 74 points this season, 2nd most in the NFL, next to the Tennessee Titans.
And if you're the Bills, you've got to eat some clock and try to follow the Lions' lead and put some 4th quarter points up. We've been stuck at 14 for quite a while. You've been controlling the clock, but you got to put the nail in the coffin. You got to finish someone. And they've had missed opportunities thus far today to put a team away. And to get that first win, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to earn this win.
Jackson on the ground. Another game break out to Los Angeles and Kurt Menefee.
And another big finish for the Cleveland Browns. Final minute, Mohamed Massaquoi from Colt McCoy with the little 3-yard touchdown. Ties the game with 44 seconds left, all even at 20 with the Jets. We'll update you later, Ron and John.
All right, thank you very much, Kurt. The Steelers and Ravens on top of that division. AFC North. Those teams fighting it out. 2nd and 8. They get Jackson out of the backfield. Oh, in and out of the hands of the one sure-handed guy the last couple weeks, Stevie Johnson.
Stevie Johnson, we mentioned earlier, playing outstanding football all year. You're going to see him run an in-breaking route, a little dig. Finds the second window, does Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that's just a dropped ball. And those are the little things. When you want to get your first win, you've got to make good on opportunities. There was an outstanding opportunity to get a first down, grind clock, and possibly go the distance, unlike Stevie Johnson.
That was the big play the Bills were looking for to help ice this thing here late in the game. Instead, it's a 3rd and 8. The long throw and right back to Johnson. And it's good for a Bills first down. 19 yards.
You know, Ronnie, and I love that. You go right back to the guy that just dropped a big ball on you. You guys have a great rapport amongst each other. You're going to fake that little in route. You're going to go to the corner. Ryan Fitzpatrick drops a dime on him, and Stevie Patrick says, thanks for the confidence, buddy. I'll make good upon it. And he pulls that ball in. A big catch by Stevie Johnson.
So So the ball spotted just beyond midfield in the Lion territory. Back to Jackson. Jackson pours it up inside.
For Fred Jackson and anybody else touching the football for the Buffalo Bills right now, ball security is at a premium. You've got to hold on to the football, continue to move the chains, and try to get some points on the board and make this a two-score game once again.
133 yards on the day for Fred Jackson. The career high for him, 212. Did that the last game of the season last year against the Colts. Remember, the Colts pulled just about everybody in that game heading toward the playoffs. So you can't take anything away from his performance here today.
Got single coverage up top if they did indeed want to take a shot.
They round Jackson up. Play is stopped. Timeout called. That's the first timeout by Detroit. Don't forget the late game coming up. The game of the week. The Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, coming your way right after the early games here on Fox.
I tell you what, Ronnie, that New York Giants defense is putting a hurting on quarterbacks. We have evidence of that here today. Shaun Hill, his first game back since he faced the New York Giants. I think they've put 5 quarterbacks out this year. You talk about a front four, Osi Umenyiora, Justin Tuck. These guys are harassing quarterbacks.
Hurting and harassing,
Not
that's
just,
kind of the same thing, right? But you know, I think Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator for the Saints, set the blueprint, and it's an old blueprint that he brought back. You want to win games, big games, you better get to the opposing quarterback and get to him hard.
Absolutely. I think that's always been a consistent theme in the NFL. Stop the run and get after quarterbacks.
Only 1 sack today by the Lions, 3rd and 4. They'll throw it, going deep, looking for Johnson. He couldn't make the adjustment. Chris Houston had slipped down on the play. It should have been a fairly easy catch for Johnson.
And you talk about putting the nail in the coffin. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to come up short. Stevie Johnson had him beat last week in Toronto against Chicago. Stevie Johnson had the cornerback beat. Ryan Fitzpatrick underthrew it. It became an interception. When the game's on the line, you got to be able to make the throws. I really like Ryan Fitzpatrick, but when the game's on the line, you got to make the big throw.
And John, the breeze, the wind here in Buffalo, I think shut that ball down in the air. Just like it's messing with that punt fairly well. Ball's out of bounds at about the 12-yard line. 30 yards on the punt. For more information on that big late game coming up, let's go to Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
Well, it's just a reminder that Jason Garrett will be making his head coaching debut as the lead man for the Dallas Cowboys as they visit the New York Football Giants. That game comes your way when you guys are done, 4:15 Eastern Time, right here as America's Game of the Week comes your way at the conclusion of your game in Buffalo. Ron and John?
All right, the Giants at 6-2 will be without the services of Steve Smith. He's got a torn pec muscle. That's a chest muscle. First and 10 for the Lions. The throw inside, complete to Calvin Johnson. Clock moving now. 2 timeouts for the Lions. This could very well be, and most likely will be, their last chance.
And I think when the game's on the line, you got to rely on your big dogs. And that's Calvin Johnson and Nate Burleson in the slot right now for the Detroit Lions.
Quick handoff to Best. And Best is out to the 20-yard line, just shy of the 20. Clock is still moving.
And Ronnie, you know that the Buffalo Bills, they had a red shirt on whoever was playing Calvin Johnson all week. They're very aware of where he is. So as the offense for the Lions, you've got to move him, put him in motion, and don't let him identify where Calvin Johnson is.
3rd and 2. The long out, and they've got it. That's Burleson. And Burleson will move the chains. Covered by Reggie Corner.
He's been a huge addition from Seattle, picked up as a free agent. When they're doubling Calvin outside, that leaves the middle of the field wide open. Right there, Nate Burleson in the slot going to the out route. Good job by Sean Hill diagnosing the coverage and getting it to Nate Burleson.
Corner blitz. Plenty of time. Intended for Scheffler, but knocked away. And the Lions sideline is screaming pass interference.
See Sean Hill try to fit the ball in, and
Scott got there just in the nick of time, maybe a little early, hard to say from that angle.
Tony Scheffler saying he pulled that left arm, but he did it discreetly, and you get by with those things in the NFL if you do them discreetly.
2nd and 10. Burleson with another nice catch. He'll be about 3, maybe 4 yards shy of the first. Posluszny on the tackle. A look at Scott Linehan a few seconds ago, and that is the 2-minute warning. The Lions driving, trying to get a win on the road here in Buffalo. Quick game summary. Fred Jackson has been the man for the Bills. 170 total yards. The Lions have pretty much just been punting the ball back and forth down the field, not able to take advantage of some situations, and the Bills not able to put the Lions away.
And the way you put them away is with an interception. If you're the Lions, you got to go to your best player, Calvin Johnson. Be creative, move him around, find a way to get him open and get him the football.
3rd and 3. Bills bring only 3. Check down throw to Best. That's exactly what a defense wants. And it keeps the clock running.
And there's no choice here. You've got to go for it if you're the Detroit Lions. You've got 2 timeouts left, and you're going to use one of them right here. It sets up a critical 4th and 5 situation.
McKelvin came up for the tackle. Remember, the Lions with a 24-game road losing streak. The last win, October 20 of 2007, against the Chicago Bears. Meanwhile, the Bills, they are the only winless team in the NFL. They've lost each of their last 3 games, John, by 3 points. They've been through this territory before.
And you got to learn how to win. They've got a new regime. Buddy Nix, the general manager, Chan Gailey, the head coach. They've been improving, but it's hard if you don't have anything to show for it. This would go a long way to the confidence of this team that we are indeed getting better if you come out with a win. And they could go a long way right here on 4th down. They get the Detroit Lions off the field, game over.
Timeout called by the Lions. They have 1 timeout left. This is a 4th and 5. It's caught. Pettigrew, the tight end, and they move the chains. Talk about a big pressure money throw. 14 yards. Hill to the tight end Pettigrew, who dropped one last time out.
Not only is it caught, Pettigrew does a great job of getting out of bounds, stops the clock, preserves that last time out. 1 timeout, 1:39 left for the Detroit Lions, who have to score and convert a 2-point conversion to tie this ball game up.
And I think I could see Scott Linehan exhale over there on the sideline. That's a big play. They put it together.
You got your shot, one-on-one outside.
Safety blitz. And they get it off complete. No, dropped. Johnson had it. And I couldn't quite tell if it was ripped away or if he just dropped it.
I believe it was ripped away by Leotis McKelvin.
Yep.
Good job competing for the ball, but we called it before the snap. They were bringing the safety blitz, opens up a one-on-one for Calvin Johnson. He won't miss those very much.
Johnson with 7 catches for 91 yards today. Couldn't make it 8 on that play. 2nd and 10. Going deep. Johnson had it again and dropped it. Whitner came over at the last second. If he holds on to that ball, it's touchdown.
It's a touchdown. That's exactly what I'm saying. Donte Whitner came over full speed, and this is right where you should go, Shaun Hill. Throw the ball to your best player. And Donte Whitner possibly distracts Calvin Johnson, but that's 6 if he does indeed catch it. Ooh, Donte Whitner going for the interception, actually. Wow. I don't know if I've ever seen Calvin Johnson drop 2 balls in a row, but I tell you what, I'd go right back to him if I'm Shaun Hill.
3rd and 10. Johnson down at the bottom. And John, you call it. Goes right back to him, working on McKelvin. And it's going to be 4th down. They are just shy of the marker.
They used their last time out. Do the Detroit Lions. Plenty of time, though. 1:20, even without a timeout. Plenty of time to go down and score.
Detroit.
Don't forget, coming up here on Fox, the game of the week, the late game here. The Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, the battle in the NFC East. It's coming your way right after the early games here on Fox, right after this one.
Jason Garrett, his first game as head coach, but I think he's glad he's a head coach, not a quarterback versus these New York Giants. They bring it on these quarterbacks. And speaking of bringing it, Chris Kelsey and this Buffalo Bills defense, much maligned throughout the year, has done a great job today facing this Detroit Lions offense.
Well, if you look at their numbers, you would think they can give up the run, and they have given up the run. Ranked 32, last in the NFL, but they've been fairly solid. This is 4th and 1. Markers down, play is stopped.
Wow. Ronnie, are the penalties going to bite the Detroit Lions once again?
False start, 51. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
They call it on the center, Dominic Raiola. And John, it's interesting as you see Raiola there. He's hot. The game concludes the same way it started. Penalties on the Lions.
11 penalties for the Detroit Lions, coming into this game as the #2, second most penalized team in the NFL. The difference between winning and losing.
Now it's a 4th and 6.
I would look to Calvin Johnson or Burleson in the slot.
Wide open. He's got a man, and it's a Lions 1st down. That's Burleson. Boy, but give the offensive line some credit there. They gave Shaun Hill all day.
Plenty of time. And speaking of plenty of time, there's plenty of time on this clock. You see no more timeouts for the Detroit Lions, but 58 seconds, plenty of time to execute your offense.
23 yards, 2 money throws on 4th down for Hill. Inside, incomplete, intended for Burleson. He wants a marker, won't get it. Jairus Byrd came up with the hit.
Jairus Byrd, who had 9 interceptions right there. It looked from right up at this angle. He may have just had his first of this season. That you talk about missed opportunities. You want to get that first win. The Detroit Lions are going to make sure the Buffalo Bills have to earn it. They've got to make a big play to win this football game.
No timeouts left for Detroit. 8-point game. They have to score and get the 2 just to tie it. Complete. About 2 yards shy of the first, clock moving.
Still plenty of time, 35 seconds.
Johnson.
No timeout, so you got to get the ball out of bounds. First of all, you got to get the 1st down here. 3rd down.
Looked like a drop by Scheffler. Brian Scott was all over him.
You had exactly what you wanted. You had the 1st down, and you had Tony Scheffler going out of bounds. You got to make that catch.
Another 4th down for the Detroit Lions. They've converted 2 on this drive.
You get the first down, you got to go clock the ball.
That's right.
Time becoming an issue with 19 seconds left.
No timeouts. Timeout called by Buffalo. They burn their final timeout.
Final team timeout. Buffalo, 30-second timeout.
We talked about the missed opportunities by Buffalo. The punt return 78 yards, the hold by Cordo. The missed field goal by Lindell, 41 yards out. And the Lions here on the other side, John, you're seeing them taking advantage of the opportunities at the final second.
Yep.
2 fourth-down conversions. You got a third one coming up here.
Well, it's because Buffalo's left them in the game, and they certainly haven't done anything to earn a win themselves. I've been in situations like this on a rebuilding team down in Tampa. It's tough. You need to learn how to win, and we'll see which team wants to step up and take control of this game.
Trying to convert their third fourth down on the drive. Johnson wide open, touchdown, Detroit.
Absolutely great setup by Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. They've been doing a little play where they sit him at Calvin Johnson at the sticks all day. Instead, he stutters like he's going to stop at the sticks and goes vertical. You watch him right here on Paul Posluszny. Looks like he's going to sit down, keeps on running, splits the defense. Great ball by Shaun Hill.
But here comes the play of the day. They have to convert the 2.
The Lions, if you're wondering at home, 2 of 4 on 2-point conversions this season. None bigger than this one.
Calvin Johnson at the bottom of your screen. No way.
I tell you what, if you're Shaun Hill, Ronnie, you've done a great job bringing your team down. You got to give him at least a chance on the 2-point conversion to make a play. He throws a gutty, valiant effort. You're playing with a broken left forearm. But the Buffalo Bills defense once again comes through today, and it looks like Buffalo Bills are going to get their first wins. And these folks here at Ralph Wilson Stadium are awful happy.
Ball maybe intended for Pettigrew, the tight end, but when it left his hand, John, I knew it didn't have a chance. You could see it as well.
He was looking at Calvin Johnson right off the bat. It wasn't there. And if you throw it up, let your tall guy go get it. You can't throw it out of the back of the end zone. Shaun Hill, again, a valiant, tough effort, but he knows right away, got to give your guy a chance.
Now watch for the onside. This is the Lions' last chance. Recovered by Buffalo. And barring a miracle, the game is over. That's George Wilson, the backup safety, secures the onside kick. So the Detroit Lions will push that record, that dubious record, to 25 road losses dating back to 2007. And the Bills will have their first win of the season. The Lions' 4th loss by 5 points or less. And I guess this is one 3-point or less game that the Bills can say they actually won. They came into the game having lost each of the last 3 by 3. And that's the final here in Buffalo, 14-12. The Bills with their first win of the season. Stay tuned for the second game of our doubleheader. Coming up after the commercial, the Cowboys and the Giants, right after these messages.